Ed and Lorraine Warren are the most popular names in the world of paranormal investigation. Together, they've solved many haunting cases and performed numerous exorcisms. But there's one case that shook even them to their core. Their last case, the Smalls family case. The story begins in 1973 in Pennsylvania, USA. Jack and Janet Smalls, along with their two daughters, moved into an old duplex. Their previous home had been destroyed by a hurricane flood. Now they had a fresh start, new dreams, and hopes for a better life. At first, everything was going well. Within a few months, Jack got a promotion at work and planned to renovate their new house by investing money into repairs and improvements. But as soon as the renovation work started, strange things began happening. Slowly, household items started moving on their own. Tools and equipment used during repairs would disappear and then mysteriously reappear in the same spot. One room had strange black marks all over the walls. Jack painted over them with 3 to 4 coats, but a few days later the marks would return. He repainted multiple times, but each time, within days, the marks would reappear. Meanwhile, the lights in the house began flickering on their own. One evening, as Jack sat watching TV, suddenly the TV caught fire, as if someone threw a bomb at it. Jack called multiple electricians to inspect the wiring, but they found no faults. On another night, the radio in their house started blasting at full volume while everyone was asleep. Annoyed, Jack woke up and thought maybe his daughters were playing tricks. But when he went to the living room, he saw the radio playing loudly by itself, and it wasn't even plugged in. This kept happening more frequently. The TV and radio would turn on at full volume, even when unplugged. Drawers and cabinets would open by themselves. The temperature would drop drastically, and even in the summer, the house would feel freezing. Things got even stranger after the bathroom renovation in Jack and Janet's bedroom. The next morning, Janet discovered scratch marks all over the bathroom, as if some animal had been trapped there all night. After this incident, Jack and Janet started feeling uneasy in the house. One day, while Janet was in her room, she heard her mother-in-law calling her from the next room. But when she went to check, her mother-in-law said she hadn't called at all. From that point on, the family often felt like someone was calling out to them, but no one was ever visible. One night, Jack and Janet heard terrifying screams coming from their daughter's room. They rushed in to find her sweating and frozen with fear. She kept saying that in the corner of the room something frightening was flying in the air and staring at her. But when they turned on the lights, nothing was there, and she calmed down. The next evening, while Janet was working in the kitchen, she felt a sudden gust of cold air. It was February, so she assumed the kitchen window was open, but when she turned to close it, it was already shut. Turning back, she froze. In the corner of the kitchen, a black shadow was floating in the air. The shadow had no face, but it seemed to be staring right at her. Janet thought she was hallucinating. Her body froze with fear as the shadow slowly floated closer, then passed through her and disappeared through the wall. That same day, her mother-in-law confessed that she too had seen the shadow. Soon, every family member started seeing the same shadow. What they first feared became undeniable. Something was haunting their home. At this point, Jack and Janet realized that a spirit was indeed present in the house, but since it wasn't physically harming them, they tried to live with it. Sometime later, Janet and Jack's twin daughters were born, and everything changed. One day, while Jack sat in the living room with his daughters, he suddenly heard a loud noise from the ceiling, as if something was being ripped apart. When Janet looked up, her breath caught in her throat. She pulled her youngest daughter close, and before she could move, a huge chandelier crashed down from the ceiling. If anyone had been standing below it, surviving would have been impossible. After this terrifying event, Jack went to a church and spoke to a priest about what was happening. The priest came to their house and performed a blessing ritual similar to a prayer. For a short while, all paranormal activity stopped, but it returned after some time, this time much stronger. Appliances would catch fire on their own, bulbs would burst, and family members often got hurt. The worst moment came when, just after the priest's ritual, the family's dog started thrashing violently. It barked uncontrollably before being lifted off the ground and thrown into the back wall. The dog was badly injured, but what happened next left the entire family shaken. Now Jack and Janet were sure that the spirit was out to harm them. Several priests came and performed blessing rituals, but nothing worked. Jack even asked for an official exorcism, but he had no proof of the haunting, so the church refused permission. Meanwhile, Jack had already spent a lot of money on the house and couldn't find a buyer. As a result, he and Janet couldn't leave, even if they wanted to. Years passed, but no solution came their way, until someone told them about Ed and Lorraine Warren. Will Ed and Lorraine Warren be able to save the Smalls family, or is something far more terrifying in store? Find out in part 2 of the Smalls family case next week, only on Nightmare Narrative Channel. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel.